Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And unfortunately, we have come to the end of the Star Trek marathon. Um, but thankfully, we are ending it on a good note. And today we're going to be talking about Star Trek Beyond, which is my personal favorite out of the three Kelvin Timeline films, and is a significant step up from the very, very lackluster Star Trek Into Darkness, which I went into depth about how bad this film was in the previous review, which you guys can go and currently check out on my channel right now. And I'm very, very happy that this film was eventually made, even though unfortunately it is the last Kelvin Timeline film as of now, and probably for either a very long time or forever now. But at least it did end on a good note. So this was directed by Justin Lin, who has taken the reign um, from J.J. Abrams from the first two Kelvin Timeline films, and unfortunately, this is the least successful one uh, out of these three. So this had a budget of $185 million. Domestically, it made 158 million, and worldwide, it made 335 million. So domestically, this is a bomb because it did make less than its budget, but worldwide, it was a success. It did make over 100 million more dollars than um it actually um than in domestically. And this was released on July 22nd of 2016, and um this is my like I said, this is my personal favorite out of all of these Star Trek films. Um, so yeah, let's get on to the actual review itself. Really quickly, before I get on to the review itself, I do want to mention, like I did in the 2009 Star Trek review, um, I mentioned in that video that I would talk about Anton Yelchin, who unfortunately, right before this film was released on, I believe, I gotta look it up. Even though I later did just look it up. Anton Yelchin died on June 19th of 2016, due to I gotta find it again. Traumatic epilepsy. So, um, the film is thankfully dedicated to him at the end credits, and I believe it's also dedicated to Leonard Nimoy, who I believe right before production on Star Trek Beyond, or principal photography, he did die at the old age of 83. So I'm gonna dedicate this review to both Anton Yelchin and Leonard Nimoy. Um, so yeah, so we miss you both, and uh, you'll both live on in the Star Trek franchise as your respective characters. So let's bring the mood back up a bit, and let's talk about that plot. So, so the plot is basically a surprise attack in outer space forces the Enterprise to saucer separation and crash land on a mysterious world. The assault came from Krull, played by Idris Elbu Abal. I'm very sorry if I butchered that. A lizard-like dictator who desires his who derives his energy by sucking the life out of his victims. Krull needs an ancient and valuable artifact that's on board the badly damaged starship. Left stranded in a rugged wilderness, Kirk, played by Chris Pine, Spock, played by Zachary Quino, and the rest of the crew must now battle a deadly alien race while trying to find a way off of their hostile planet. Um, so yeah, this is technically the first official saucer separation of the Constitution class. We've seen one with the Enterprise D multiple times in the series and in Star Trek Generations. Um, and we've seen little hints and that maybe some of the other ships can saucer step, but officially we've only seen the Enterprise D. But this is the first time that we've seen a Constitution class starship to actually saucer step, even though it wasn't an actual TOS Constitution class. It was fun seeing an actual official, well, not even just a Constitution class, just a starship in Star Trek to saucer step after. So the last was in Star Trek Generations. That was in '94. So like 22 years after the last saucer set, we finally get one back, and I think it's amazing. Um, so let's talk about the new cast members. So we have Idris Elba. I'm sorry if I am butchering that. Who plays Crawl? Who is basically the villain of the film. Now, I think Nero was a very good villain, and and the actor playing him was very good. It was just the plot was very generic. Khan, they literally just took him from his plan and the character of Khan itself from Star Trek 2, and I think that was pretty bad because honestly, why would you even try to do that? But this one, like I said, with in the previous review, they did make a new villain, and they created a natural, compelling plot for the villain. So then I'm like, okay, I'm um, I want to see where this goes, and it's very entertaining. There's some actual very funny moments in the film, especially with between Scotty and the new kind of character to assist the crew of the Enterprise. That is uh, Jayla, I think that's how you say it. Played by Sophie Bontatelli, who is a female with a very interesting paint job on her face. But she actually is a very cool character. Like when she comes across Scotty, she is very like, I mean, who I mean, granted, she has a bow. What's that really going to? So it's a bow that's also technically a gun. Um, I mean, yeah, granted, someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I need help," and you really don't know them on a on a new planet, you probably are gonna be a little bit hostile to them, but they do get along well, and that's some very nice chemistry between Scotty and Jayla. Um, and eventually, so it's Scotty and Jayla, Kirk and Chekhov, and then so Uhura and Sulu, along with the rest of the crew of the Enterprise, have been taken hostage by Kroll, and then Spock and McCoy are separated because I believe Spock is impaled. Well, not impaled, but he gets stabbed by like a big metal piece. So McCoy is trying to take care of him, and then both McCoy and Spock meet up with the rest of the crew while Kirk, Chekhov, Scotty, and Jayla trying to figure out a plan to rescue the crew. While also introducing a new ship, so we obviously have the regular Constitution class, but unfortunately that is destroyed, so there. But we do get a new ship, and that is the USS Franklin. Now, I honestly really like this design. Um, I honestly would believe that this was honestly kind of like, in my opinion, this is kind of like the NX-01 of the Kelvin timeline, which is ironically the registration for the Franklin actually has NX at the beginning, so but it's NX 325. Um, but I really like that. I really like the ship, so I'm gonna keep him. I actually got this Blu-ray with this ship, the Enterprise, and then the here. So I got this Blu-ray with the Franklin, the Enterprise, and then um this kind of orbital ship from the for the villain side. Um, I did actually make a video about this gift set, which is a very kind of like basically around like 2016, 2017 ish. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna keep them around here. Um, we have, and so I think honestly the she kind of does have an arc to her because she at first, obviously strangers to her planet, she doesn't really like strangers, but over the course of the film, she comes to warm to them and actually fights alongside them to help them to get not only them off but her off as well, off the planet. Um, we have Linda Wilson as Carla. Carrara? I'm not sure how you say that. Who's basically the alien girl who leads the Enterprise into the surprise attack at the beginning. And obviously, that's when the ship gets destroyed. We have Um, I didn't really mention this in Beyond because I was so angry at the time, but Deep Roy returns in Star Trek Into Darkness only for like I think one scene, and, that's in like the bar after Kirk relieves Scotty of duty, and they're both in the bar. But thankfully Deep Roy does return in this film, and he does have a little bit more screen time than in Into Darkness, but it's not by much. We have Doug Chung as Ben, who is, um, I guess spoilers. To mention it. I mean, I guess I already mentioned, talked about a whole bunch of spoilers. But if you haven't seen any of the Star Trek films, then like, what are you doing here? Not saying you should not watch the videos, but like, at least go and watch them at least. Um, but I guess spoilers. So, Ben is actually they made Sulu a gay person, which is actually very surprising, and they show that the creators actually would do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it honestly for me that kind of just came out of left field. I'm like, okay, I see where you're going with this. Nothing wrong with it, but very interesting. And do what you do. You could do that. Because both Sulu and Ben have, I believe, a daughter. So I'm like, okay. Because honestly, at first I thought that was like his brother or something. But then I saw in one video where they mentioned, oh yeah, and then Sula is gay and has a husband. I'm like, wait a minute, are you sure about that? Because I think that's his brother. And then when I was doing the research, I figured out that yeah, they did make Sulu gay, and I'm like, okay, very interesting. So, like I said, nothing wrong with gay people. I actually can't believe I'm about to say this. I actually watched a whole lot. Recently, I watched a whole bunch of Steven Universe, and the the Garnet thing where it's like Ruby and Sapphire. It's kind of like a gay kind of thing there. No problem with that. And it's kind of it made me realize more about this gay relationship, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's starting to make sense now. And then we have oh, this is gonna be a pain to say. I'm gonna butcher this. I'm calling it right now. So Shuria, or Shuri, Arkisola. Shuri, whatever. I'm very sorry for mispronouncing your name. Is Commodore Paris, who basically, sorry, that's my mom. See, that's the hard part about making videos that you have random people. It's not random people. It's my mom, but you have people start calling you while you're in the middle of filming, and it's a real pain. Um, but she's basically the person that um. God damn it! There goes my phone again. But yeah, she's basically the person that uh that assigns that almost leads to Kirk gaining a promotion to admiral. um, which uh, kind of going along the lines of Star Trek 2, but in this one they actually make him deny it, unlike getting getting the promotion and then being demoted to captain in the main timeline. So that's kind of good. They kind of change it up a bit. Um, um, but yeah, I love this movie. I'm just gonna say, I've already made that clear right now. I love this movie. Um, it's just literally everything about it. I think is very good, including the score, which is again done by Michael Giacchino, and I think this is his best score out of the three Kelvin Timeline films. Second to, actually, so this is my favorite, and then right below it would be the first Star Trek, and then Into Darkness. But this film score is awesome. It's it's a very good score, and luckily, um, this one is actually, well, surprisingly, it's the only one available on like Entrada Records or the stuff like that. But I'm very glad because that one's a very good score. Unfortunately, I don't have it because I only have the first three. Um, but I would eventually like to pick that up at some point. Um, so yeah. So like 90% of the film takes place on the planet, and then there's also a star base that's named Yorktown, which might as well mention the fun fact since it has to do with that. So, did you know that the space station is named the Starbase Yorktown, which was a nod to the original name of the Enterprise from TOS? So yeah, the original name for the Enterprise was the USS Yorktown. But eventually it was changed to the USS Enterprise, and obviously we got one of the most iconic ships in all of sci-fi and film history. Um, and obviously we have had several ships in the Star Trek universe called the Yorktown, and I think the Yorktown isn't a bad name, but for the main ship of like a franchise, I think honestly the Enterprise works a lot better. Which I think the Yorktown as a space name, as a base name, is more fitting than for a ship name. It's just my opinion, because honestly, it literally says York Town. It's like a town kind of name, and what more can you call a town than in space than a starbase? So starbase Yorktown. So I just feel like the Yorktown for a name works better in a starbase than a starship. Not saying there's anything wrong with the name, but that's my personal opinion. Um, Unfortunately, this is the only Star Trek Kelvin Timeline film that I don't have the 4K for. Unlike the previous two, which I do have the 4Ks for. Um, it's this one seems kind of like the odd one out since like all of them, like these two are 4Ks and then this one's just a regular Blu-ray. But it doesn't really matter since I basically have all of them on Blu-ray in one way or another, especially with this collection, which now I actually have two versions of Beyond on Blu-ray. Um, and I might. Well, actually, I don't know, because honestly, for new films, I don't think 4K is really like what's the point? Because it's basically just an upscale of the Blu-ray. Um, so it's just like, what's the point of getting 4Ks of new movies since it's literally just upscales when you could literally save the money that's to buy 4Ks of like older movies that are basically around the same price. Like, which one would you rather get? A 4K version of Star Trek Beyond or a 4K version of Superman the movie? That's probably gonna look a lot better. I say go for Superman, but that's just me. Um. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion about. Um. It doesn't really matter. This is the point that I have all of them on Blu-ray now. in some form or like 4K, Blu-ray, whatever. Um, I really don't want to make this short. I really want to think like what else I want to talk about. I mean, really, all the casts are great in this film. Um, they, I like literally, this is like this review on the back right here is absolutely correct. A fun and thrilling adventure. That's exactly what this is. If I said that Star Trek 2009 was a good popcorn movie, that is. This is a excellent popcorn movie where you can literally just sit down. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to know like what the other characters were, and there's some moments um where you would probably would like to watch maybe the first two before this, especially I would say like if like before watching this, I would say especially watch Star Trek to like the 2009 film, Star Trek Into Darkness. You could just forget about. Um, but this film, I think you should really watch maybe before this. I mean, you could watch this by itself and just you know be happy by itself. But there are some certain scenes in this that kind of call back to Star Trek and a little bit of Into Darkness, but more or less this film because they I feel like they just try to forget um the failure that was Star Trek Into Darkness, but especially with primetime Spock um and stuff like that, it kind of comes back to this, which I'm just gonna say right now, my I have a couple favorite scenes. So my first favorite scene is when they're on the USS Franklin. They're on. You're not. Eh. They're on the USS Franklin and they're trying to figure out how to destroy all the other ships, and they decide, and Scotty says, "Why not hook up Jayla's music box? Um, cause she likes this one song that actually has been a thing ever since the first Kelvin Timeline film, and so when they started to play it, right before like the big drop at the near the middle, Kirk goes like, "Nice choice." And obviously they blow up the ships with like the ships with the speakers, and it's incredible. And my second favorite scene is probably is going to be the scene where they're actually at Yorktown because they try to save Yorktown, and they do. So after they got back, and I believe this is right after Kirk denies the promotion to Admiral, we cut to a scene with Spock, and he has like this little kind of box thing that says belongings of Ambassador Spock, and so he opens it, and it's a picture of all the original cast members, um, which I believe is actually a picture from Star Trek, a promotional picture from Star Trek 5. Um, and I think that got it for me because I'm like, oh my god. Um, like that got it for me because I'm like, oh, that's like sad, but also like very great, like absolutely great at the same time. And the oh yeah, there's actually there's even a special feature on the Blu-ray right there. I'm gonna try and keep it as still as possible so you guys can see it. But right, the last special feature right here is you're probably not gonna be able to see it. Um, you can kind of see it. So there's a special feature that says for Leonard and Anton, which is I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming that it is like a little special feature where the cast and crew talk about both Leonard Nimoy and Anton Yelchin. Um, and um, the final scene where they all get together and they see the construction of the Enterprise A is, and then you hear basically all of them recite the famous monologue of Space, the Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And then the Enterprise A zips off into space, and then I think well, actually, no, because the credits play after, and then right at the end, it says for Anton, and I believe I know it says for certain, it says for Anton. I don't know if it says for Leonard as well. Most likely it did. Um, but yeah, it's very sad that we did lose both Anton Yelchin and Leonard Nimoy right before the release, because I know Leonard Nimoy did die in 2015, like right before they started principal photography for this film, and then Anton Yelchin died right after I think filming was ended, and so it's gonna be very hard to try and move on if they do make another film, which is very, very unlikely, but it's a 50-50 right now. It's gonna be very hard to try and move on without Chekhov. Um, so yeah. So like I said earlier, um, this music is fantastic. Um, and I think everything about this film is fantastic. It's the best Kelvin Timeline film, and um, it is. It's very sad that we did lose both Anton and Leonard. So, like I said earlier, I dedicate this video to both Leonard Nimoy and Anton Yelchin. We'll miss both of you, and um, to all the Star Trek cast members who have lost their lives at the time of this recording, we will miss you all. And let's hope that no one else from the Star Trek universe will leave us anytime soon. Um, so, yeah. It's really sad way to kind of end this video, but I really don't know what else to talk about, because I want to make this at least 30 to 35 minutes long, and I don't know what to talk about. Yeah. Well, I guess, will we get a fourth Star Trek Kelvin timeline film? Um, my personal opinion, most likely not, because we have both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth openly stating that they're not coming back to um, the Star Trek this film series, which is honestly kind of a shame. So that's basically, if like it was kind of like 50-50 before about, oh, is this film ever getting made, that's kind of like the nail in the coffin, because like if you don't have Captain Kirk, who are you gonna focus it on? Spock? You know, it's very unfortunate. Um, so will we get a fourth Star Trek film? Most likely not, but I guess we'll see what happens when when this whole COVID-19 thing is over, and see what we can see if they are moving on with a Star Trek 4 or what. And kind of like what I mentioned, I think I mentioned this in the Star Trek Nemesis review or in the 2009 one. Um, my opinions on Lower Decks. Um, I'm not sure whether this is gonna succeed or not. But it's all a matter of trying to see when the first episode comes out. Cause honestly, um, it's really a matter of seeing the first episode and seeing how the series is going to go. It might get better, but it's really for me. If I watch the first episode and if I like it or don't like it, then that will base my opinion on whether I'm gonna watch the rest of the series or not. But from the trailers, it definitely does seem like they're trying to make a new Star Trek animated series, which I've actually wanted for a long time, especially with the animated series. Um, but having taken a new Star Trek animated series and taking what Family Guy, The Simpsons, and especially South Park, from what I've seen, take what they've done very good and try and stick it into a new Star Trek animated series. And I don't know if it's gonna work or not. It might work. I'm not sure, but from the trailers, it doesn't see. It kind of honestly seems like a parody of Star Trek. Um, and it's really kind of, I'm kind of iffy on it right now, but it all depends on the first episode and seeing um whether or not it's good or not. So yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna give this film a 8 out of 10. It's my personal favorite out of the Kelvin Timeline films, and um, so yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I'll be having one more review, um, which I'm gonna be having by I believe Saturday. I'm not 100% sure about that. Um, I know I'm gonna have this video by Friday. Because I'm actually filming this on Thursday. So like literally, just recorded the Star Trek Into Darkness video. I'm way more calmed down. Um, so I have the Star Trek Into Darkness video up Thursday, which is the time I'm recording this, and I'm gonna have this video up by Friday, and then hopefully by Saturday I'm gonna have the bonus review out, and then throughout the rest of the weekend I'm not gonna be posting any new videos until by I believe Tuesday. And that time is going to leave you guys to comment on which series of movies that I have currently in my collection right now do you guys want to see next in a marathon of reviews. Um so um follow me on Instagram and Facebook to figure out to post in the I'm going to make a post sometime either Thursday today is Thursday or Friday on whether which series of reviews do you guys want to see me next, which franchise, so like Rambo or actually or no, a marathon, and I'm going to try and figure out what like one film reviews I'm going to do before the next marathon. So, yeah. So, follow me at Russell Myers 4789, no capitalizations, and at just Russell Myers on Facebook with capitalizations. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and have a great day, everyone. Live long and prosper. Out.